Hey guys, John V here from PhoneArena. Right now you're watching our in-depth video comparison between the Apple iPhone 5S and the HTC One. That's really hard to believe it, but the HTC One has been around for pretty much most of the year. We know that it launched earlier in the year, and through that time, it's managed to stay atop in the Android space. However, it's facing some stiff competition now that the iPhone 5S is around, so how's it gonna fare? We're gonna find out right now. Seriously, these two handsets have some fantastic designs, very iconic in many ways, and they have many similar commonalities. For example, their choice materials, sturdy construction, and one-of-a-kind looks. For starters, they both employ brushed aluminum casings, which gives them a fair amount of sturdiness. At the same time, it kind of gives them that luxury feel as well. It's really hard to say which design we prefer more. On one hand, the iPhone 5S is considerably smaller in footprint, so it's easier to hold in the hand, but with the HTC One, of course it's naturally bigger, but it has a curved rear casing, which makes it more natural to hold in the hand. So when you think about $200 price smartphones, these two handsets really have all the qualities in what we'd like to find. Equally as dreamy are the respective displays on these two handsets. They exhibit all the qualities we like. They're sharp, bright, vivid, and really catch the attention of our eyes. So the iPhone 5S actually has the same display as its predecessor. It's a 4-inch Retina display with a resolution of 640 by 1136 pixels. So displays here actually rely on good old LCD technology, IPS LCD in the iPhone 5S and Super LCD 3 in the HTC One. Very similar qualities, wide viewing angles, some accurate and very natural looking colors, but when it comes to outdoor visibility, the iPhone 5S display is just brighter, so with that we're able to visibly see it more than the HTC One. We're very content with the displays on both handsets, but then day, it's just that larger and higher resolution display of the HTC One that really continues to capture our attention. And when you think about how bigger is better in the landscape right now, the iPhone 5S's display is kind of lacking. When it comes to their volume controls and dedicated power buttons, we actually prefer this set on the iPhone 5S, mainly because they're more raised, they're prominent, very distinguishable, and they offer better responses than the HTC One. When it comes to some of the notable features on both handsets, the HTC One actually features dual front-firing speakers with HTC boom sound, so it's a little bit more ideal versus the iPhone 5S, which has only a single one. And on top of that, the dedicated power button actually incorporates an IR blaster, so it turns the One into a universal remote as well. With the iPhone 5S, however, it features this new biometric Touch ID fingerprint sensor, which gives the handset yet another added level of security, so you can use it to unlock the device and even verify app purchases. The two are actually outfitted with some nifty cameras. It's an 8 megapixel iSight camera in the iPhone 5S and a 4.3 megapixel fancy term ultra pixel camera in the HTC One. Now they share many commonalities like their LED flashes, their 1080p video recording quality, but there are some other minor details. For example, the HTC One features an f2.0 aperture lens versus the f2.2 lens in the iPhone 5S. And on top of that, different size pixels. The iPhone 5S has 1.5 micron size pixels versus the larger 2 micron size pixels in the HTC One. It's really tough to say which of these two handsets has the more visually impressive UIs. With iOS 7, we actually prefer the eye candy that it has to offer. Just very meticulous in what it has to offer. For example, you have these see-through, almost translucent-like effects going on. On top of that, it employs a bunch of different animations with its operation. So it's pretty neat and offers just enough eye candy over the HTC One. Still, you can't quite count out the Sense 5 UI running on the HTC One. It still has a very pleasing visual effects in play. Not only does it have this typical Android stuff you'd normally find, but with the HTC Blink feed, it's just a nice way of aggregating all your social networking content directly from the home screen. When it comes to personalization and customization, there's no questioning that HTC One wins in this particular category. In addition to the HTC Blink feed, you have your usual Android home screen here where you could fill it up with different live wallpapers, widgets, and even icons. But with the iPhone 5S, it still maintains the same thing as before. It's mostly just static icons, and you could change the wallpaper, but that's pretty much the extent of its customization. Notifications and multitasking are handled in pretty much the same manner with these two devices. So basically, you double tap their home buttons, and from here you're going to gain access to small preview windows so you can quickly jump between open applications. So it's more like task switching. But when it comes to notifications, we just find there's a little bit more feature set. There's more features with the HTC One, just because you could do things like archive emails and even share photos or screenshots directly from the notifications panel, which is neat. At the same time, we have access to the connectivity and also brightness settings on the HTC One in the notifications panel, whereas with the iPhone 5S, we got to jump into the control center to gain access to the same functions. At the end of the day, folks, if you prefer simplicity, you'll probably gravitate towards the iOS 7 experience on the iPhone 5S. But if you prefer customization and personalization, no question about it, the HTC One has it with its Sense 5 user experience. They're packing some serious heat under the hood. The iPhone 5S is powered by a dual-core 1.3 GHz Apple A7 processor, which is based on 64-bit architecture, so it's one of a kind when you think about it in the mobile landscape. On the other hand, the HTC One still packs an impressive quad-core 1.7 GHz Qualcomm Snapdragon 700 processor with 2 GB of RAM, and for the most part, they exhibit the same performance, very snappy, but we just find that the iPhone 5S is a little bit more snappier. Every now and then, we might just see an occasional delay or lag or choppiness with the HTC One, but for pretty much the same generic task like surfing the web, opening up different applications, they both exhibit the same level of responses, so really can't complain about their fast feel. Mainly because it's packing the larger display. It's only natural to find a more spacious keyboard layout on the HTC One. You can tell the difference between two. It's a little bit larger, and of course, if you have larger fingers, it's going to be a little bit more ideal, but they both have the same features. They're very responsive, offer really good autocorrect features. The iPhone 5S layout's a lot more simplified, so you're not inundated by all these different things on screen. But if you prefer having things like numbers and punctuations at hand, you're going to like the Sense keyboard. Not surprisingly, they're both fantastic when it comes to the web browsing experience, just because they feature fast 4G LTE data connectivity, so pages load up very quickly, and you can tell they offer very smooth kinetic scrolling and pinch gestures, and page rendering is pretty much instant on the fly with both handsets, so we really can't complain about the two. But mainly because it has a larger display and higher resolution one, it's a little bit more ideal with the HTC One. The music players are both pleasant and are functional, but not really one that's better looking than the other. Now, when it comes to the audio quality, there's no question that the HTC One's dual front-facing speakers are more potent and robust over the single speaker in the iPhone 5S. The music players are, for the most part, pleasant looking and very functional, very similar qualities, but there's a little bit more eye candy found with the HTC One's music player. For example, you have this neat looking visualizer. On top of that, it'll download even album cover and even lyrics, so you can check them out on screen. Now, when it comes to the audio quality with the respective speakers, there's no arguing that the dual front-firing speakers of the HTC One are more ideal. At the same time, it just has a stronger robust tones compared to the iPhone 5S, so it is more powerful. High definition videos play flawlessly on both handsets, and you can tell with the playback's very smooth, but between the two, we'd probably go with the HTC One just because it's more ideal for the experience. It has a larger high resolution display, and on top of that, it's just easier to load videos onto. So here are the camera UIs on these two handsets. Kind of similar to their presentations. Most of the real estate's reserved for the viewfinder. On the right side, you have the shutter keys, and on the left, we have some other options. With the iPhone 5S, however, it's a little bit more basic when it comes to its feature sets. So you could take photos, you could take videos, and there's a few different nifty shooting modes like slow motion video recording. You have a square mode, panoramic, and of course some different color options available to you. Now that pales into comparison to what the HTC One offers, so you have a ton of different shooting modes, and the neat thing about it is that it's very extensive and you can see in real time what the effects look like. And on top of that, you have things like manual controls, so you can adjust items such as the resolution, the ISO, white balance, and other key aspects of the experience. At the end of the day, the question that remains is which of these two handsets offers the better picture quality with their respective cameras. So you have that 8 megapixel iSight camera in the iPhone 5S versus that 4.3 megapixel fancy term ultra pixel camera in the HTC One. Well, for outdoor shots, honestly, when you're looking at them as 4x6 printouts, you're hardly going to notice a difference. Both are very sharp, but still the iPhone 5S produces the sharper visuals. And top of that, we tend to notice that it handles dynamic range a lot better. So it exposes more of the details. It tends to look a little bit overexposed with the HTC One. And on top of that, when it comes to low lighting quality, there's no question about it. It is the iPhone 5S that reigns supreme just because it's just sharper looking, more details, whereas with the HTC One, details tend to be softer and a little bit more blurring in line with its quality. Likewise, we'll say the same thing with 1080p video recording quality. It's just much better on the iPhone 5S. Outdoors where there's plenty of lighting, it's hardly noticeable that the iPhone 5S is better, but it really shows its worth under lower lighting situations. It's just smoother, offers more details, whereas with the HTC One, you tend to see a lot more artifacting elements in its shots, and details are noticeably softer. Call quality is also very excellent with these two smartphones. That's because their earpieces and speakerphones emit really strong tones to make out conversations very well, and also helps when their voices are very clear, distinctive, and their noise cancellation features work right away. There's not one handset that's giving us more juice over the other. In fact, we're able to get by at least one day of normal usage out of the two of them. So even though the HTC One had its time in the spotlight, it still continues to be a darling in the Android space and gives the iPhone 5S a really good competition. Now, if you look hard enough, you could probably find this device for even less than its normal $200 on contract price point. If you're lucky enough, you'll probably find it under the $100 mark at this point. And with that, you're getting a whole lot of bang for the buck with this device, a lot of value combined with its stellar design and its really catchy looking Android experience. It's still a great contender. But if you just still want something that's newer, you're going to like the iPhone 5S because it continues to be a standout handset, very well-rounded performer too. It takes some amazing photos and videos with its camera. It has a premium construction, and of course you have that updated iOS 7 experience. Granted, you're going to be paying more money out of pocket, $200 for the base model, but still a very fantastic device to check out. So if you guys want to learn more about either the Apple iPhone 5S or the HTC One, you can check out our website, PhoneArena.com. It's John V. Thanks for watching.